This is a 2020 Volvo V60 Polestar, and it is a really cool station wagon. I've always been into the idea of fast wagons because it seems like an awesome concept, a boring, practical family car that's faster than a sports car. And this one certainly fits the bill. It has 500 pound-feet of torque, and it'll do 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. And today, I'm going to review it. Before I get started, be sure to check out Cars and Bids, which is my new online enthusiast car auction website, which is focused on cool cars from the modern era, the 1980s and up. If you're looking to buy or sell a cool modern enthusiast car, Cars and Bids is the place. We have the best variety, the most interest, the most bidders and viewers, and you can check it out at carsandbids.com. Okay, so let's talk V60 Polestar. The V60 is Volvo's mid-size wagon, and it starts around $41,000 for a base level T5 model, and it's pretty cool, frankly. This one is technically called the T8 Polestar, and it starts around $70,000, which is big money for a car about the same size as an Audi A4. But then again, this is no standard mid-size wagon. Like I said, 500 pound-feet of torque. It also has 415 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, and it'll break into the 12s in the quarter mile. That's not as fast as the E63 AMG wagon, sure, but this is also about 60% of the price. And there's another benefit to this car too. It's a plug-in hybrid. The EPA says it gets 30 miles per gallon in combined city and highway driving, and it can do about 22 miles on pure electric power alone with no gasoline engine kicking in. The E63 wagon can't do that. So today I'm going to review the V60 Polestar, and I'm going to show you some of its interesting quirks and features. Then I'm going to get it out on the road and drive it, and then I'll give it a DougSCore. All right, I'm going to start the quirks and features of the V60 Polestar. Now, I already reviewed the S60 Polestar, the sedan version of this car, so for this one I'm just going to go over some of the interesting highlights, starting with the gold. Volvo has decided that Polestar's color should be gold. Unfortunately, not that awesome blue they were using before. But interestingly, Volvo only uses this gold color in two places. One is the brake calipers. You can see gold there to emphasize the Polestar-ness. And then on the inside, you have the seat belts. All 5 of them, 2 front, 3 back. They're all gold, but that's it. Otherwise, the Polestar gold color is simply unused except in those 2 places. No gold stitching, no gold trim, just seat belts and brake calipers. Interesting. And next up, get in this car and you are greeted by one of my very favorite engine starters in the entire car industry. It's here in the center console, and you can see it's this little switch. You turn to the right to start the engine, and you also turn it to the right to stop the engine, and I just love touching it every time I get in a new Volvo. It's fantastic, one of the best. Unfortunately, you are also greeted by one of the worst shifters in the car industry. I really hate this shifter, not because of how it looks, but because of how it operates. All right, check this out. You start the car and you're in park. You put it in drive by pulling back on the shifter, easy enough. But let's say now you want to go into reverse. In most cars, you just push the shifter all the way forward and you're in reverse, but not this car. You push it all the way forward, you're in neutral. You have to push it all the way forward a second time to go into reverse. Same deal to go back into drive. Down once, you're in neutral. Down a second time, you're in drive. That's kind of annoying having to repeat the motion, but it's especially confusing because there's nothing on the shifter that actually shows you what gear you're in. You have to look into the gauge cluster, into this little screen, and only there are you told. So it can be kind of confounding trying to figure out which gear you're in. I really think they could have done this better, like basically everyone else has. Now, also in that center console, another rather interesting operation would be the drive mode dial, which I also love. In order to change drive modes, you press down on this little wheel that's textured, and then you kind of move it up or down depending on which mode you want to enter. And it shows you your drive mode options on the infotainment screen, and they are weird. Most cars have comfort, eco, sport. This car has 4 drive modes. One is full-time all-wheel drive, if you want to lock all-wheel drive on, okay? Then you have pure, which I guess is like an eco mode. Then you have hybrid, which for some reason isn't the pure mode. Not really sure how they differ. And then finally you have the Polestar engineered mode, which I guess is their version of sport. So instead of comfort, sport, eco, you have all-wheel drive, pure, hybrid, and Polestar engineered. Kind of odd. Those are probably going to have to be explained to every single customer who buys one of these. And next up, speaking of the center screen, I have to say I absolutely love it. I have said many times that Volvo's is one of my very favorite center screens in the entire car industry, and that is still true even after other automakers have innovated considerably. First off, this screen is vertical like a smartphone. You're already used to that orientation, and also like a smartphone, there's a home button at the bottom. You can push that anywhere and go back to the home screen. It is tremendously responsive to your touch, and it's really intuitive, very easy to figure out. This really is one of the very best infotainment systems in the car industry. Volvo did a great job developing it, and I highly, highly recommend it. And finally, the last notable item in here is that this interior is just really beautiful. Everything is nice, gorgeous materials, nice stitching, nice trim everywhere. It feels good, nothing's rattling, everything put together well. This is a really fantastic interior. You'd expect that on a car that costs like 70 grand like this one does, but this interior is basically the same as the one that's on all of the cheaper V60s too, and it's beautiful there as well for a lot less money. It's a really, really nice look in here. And next we move on to the back seat in the V60 Polestar, and the first thing you notice when you get back here is it's kind of tight. It's not really small, it's not uncomfortable, but my knees are right up against the front passenger seat. Headroom is fine, but it's not huge back here. This car ultimately is kind of a compact to mid-size car, not a mid-size or large car by any stretch. It's about 8 inches shorter than the Mercedes E-Class station wagon, and it definitely shows back here. That's also true in the cargo area, where this car has considerably less cargo room than the E-Wagon, about 20 to 30% less, depending on whether you're measuring with the seats up or the seats down. So this is a great car, a great family wagon, but maybe not if your kids are fully grown or you're constantly transporting a lot of stuff in the back. You might find it to be a little bit tight. One other kind of tight item in the back of this car is leg room for the center passenger, the person who's sitting in the middle seat. You can see there's a big hump here. This is for the electric hybrid components of this car. The EV stuff all goes through a center tunnel, and so the hump steals basically all of the middle passenger's legroom. So you'll have to kind of sit with your feet on either side of it, then intruding onto the other passenger's legroom. It's not exactly the most comfortable spot, thanks to that little hump. And next we move under the hood in the V60 Polestar. Like I mentioned, 415 horsepower, about 500 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 4.4. Excellent numbers. What I didn't mention was how it gets that power. This is a 4-cylinder engine, surprisingly. It is turbocharged, and it is supercharged, and it is hybrid, so gas and electric. So you have a turbo supercharged gas electric engine in this car. Now, to me, that doesn't sound like a recipe for longevity like Volvo models of the past, but Volvo assures me that this engine has been tried and tested and it will be reliable. One other interesting thing in this engine area, you can see there's an engine cover just like most cars have. This one though isn't plastic. You touch it and you can see it's like a foam material. It kind of pushes in. It's a little squishy. Apparently that is for pedestrian impact protection. You hit someone with your car, they hit the hood, they won't hit a heavy engine block which could injure them. Instead, they kind of bounce off this foam surface. So they figure maybe it'll help just a little bit if you have a collision with a pedestrian. Volvo, always thinking about safety. All right, driving the V60 Polestar. And I have put it in Polestar mode so I can get the most performance out of it. All right, I'm gonna start with a little. Wow, it's quick. Wow, excellently quick, very impressively so. Steering not quite there. Steering definitely not on the level of an M3 or an M4, something like that, but acceleration very quick, also very smooth. The one thing about it though is you don't really hear much because this is a relatively small engine, a 4-cylinder, electric assist. You're not really hearing all that much when you're flooring it, but it is definitely fast. Steering, yeah, not quite as quick. It feels good, but it's not as precise or as fast, definitely, as a BMW. One thing I didn't mention earlier when I was showing off the quirks and features of this car, this thing is beautiful. This is a gorgeous car. The design is absolutely fantastic, the styling, everything. As other automakers have seemingly gone for more fussy designs, like Lexus to try to inspire, make it look bolder and inspire young people, Volvo has cleaned everything up. And I think Volvo is making some of the most beautiful cars on the road today. This one is a great example of that. If you're into wagons, it's hard not to like how this car looks. The one drawback of the V60 though is it's just a little small. The S60 has never been, you know, a mid-size like the E-Class or the 5 Series. It's always kind of straddled that 3 Series, 5 Series gap. As a result, this is a family car, but it's not a huge family car. You'd have to step up to the V90 if you wanted a wagon with enough room that really has kind of the family size room. But it is a useful, practical, and excellent car. Looks good, good tech, and it's fast. There's really nothing bad to say about this or a lot of the other modern Volvos. They're just making really great cars right now. And I'm really impressed with this. If you're into wagons and you want something fast, and you can't swing an AMG, this might be the car. I would just make sure to get a very comprehensive extended warranty, because I'm not exactly sure that turbo supercharged gas electric plug-in motor is really going to be a long-term thing. And so that's the Volvo V60 T8 Polestar. Volvo has always done fast wagons well, and this is no exception. It's a tremendous vehicle, and it has it all. Performance and all-weather capability, and a really nice interior, beautiful styling, great technology, and fuel efficiency. This should be the dream car of every family who's got a car enthusiast and they're stuck driving a Toyota RAV4 or a Honda Pilot. Anyway, now it's time to give the V60 Polestar a DougSCore. And the DougSCore is here, the V60 Polestar against some other relevant cars. It does pretty well, but it can't quite touch performance champions like the new E63 AMG Wagon or the Panamera Sport Turismo. But that's no surprise since the V60 is a lot cheaper. It's more closely competitive with the X3M Competition and the Audi RS5 Sportback, both of which win overall for providing a more engaging driving experience and better performance without sacrificing practicality. But the V60 certainly has an advantage in fuel efficiency, and the Volvo's interior and exterior styling is excellent.